What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's Ernie Blerd without fear. Welcome back to the channel. Okay, in today's video, we are going to be talking about X-Force number 15 by Benjamin Percy and Joshua Cassara. And in this video, we are going to learn that Xavier may just have given Beast way too much power. We're also going to learn what X-Force is planning to do in regards to the mutant Omega Red. And last but most certainly not least, we're going to learn that something from Krakoa has fallen off into the ocean and has come back with a vengeance. We're going to talk about all that and more right now, but first, wash your damn hands and let's hit that intro.
Word to wise, grass only greener when it's fertilized. Gave them truth in these songs, they prefer to lies. Destiny beautiful, adrift in her purple lies. You can't see me, you Stevie, wondering how I reach more evolutions than Evie and make it look easy.
Okay, so when we dig into this book, this picks up immediately from where we left off before Ten of Swords. We're getting right back into the whole mess with Beast going too far with Colossus, basically giving him a traitor's parade, parading him across Krakoa to, make him look like he has done something wrong, even though Colossus, I can go ahead and tell you right now, has done nothing wrong. What we do find out is apparently in and around the time of Ten of Swords, Marvel Girl was interrogating Colossus using her telepathy to probe his mind and find out any and everything possible that he's been up to. We end up seeing a lot of different things. We kind of see more of what's been going on lately with Colossus, spending a lot of his time on the Savage Land as opposed to Krakoa, his recent relationship with Kayla, and some other odds and end things that are going on inside of his head. But the thing is, yeah, he's done nothing wrong. He's clean. He is not a sleeper agent. He's not done anything bad, as at least as far as Jean can tell. She doesn't think he's done anything wrong. And more importantly, Colossus, he doesn't even want an apology from Beast, but Marvel Girl does make it clear Beast does owe him one. And more importantly, she's gonna demand that he give it. Now, Beast is actually trying to make amends with Colossus for, some of the that he's pulled off, but at the end of the day, it's too late. And honestly, Kayla doesn't care for him. And even though Colossus definitely doesn't care for Beast's presence, he doesn't want Kayla to kill him because that would be bad. And that's just not Colossus's way now. He's become much more of a pacifist than I think he ever has been in the past, and he's dealt with a lot of stuff, and he's still dealing with those things. And even though he does accept Beast's peace offering of paints to help further his hobby of painting that he's been doing on Krakoa a lot since he's been there, he says himself that he has forgiven Beast for what he's done to him, for embarrassing him, for humiliating him, for treating him as though he was an enemy. Now, on the flip side of that, Beast is still going to have to offer him, regardless of that apology, a spot on the team per Jean's request, which we don't get an answer to that, but I have a feeling that is going to come up a little later on as we get a few more issues into Reign of X's X-Force run. Now they're able to scratch one potential traitor off the list. There's still the matter of the other, the one who we know actually is a traitor and could very well potentially be helping the Russians with their intel and how they get into and out of Krakoa, and that is Omega Red. Only I don't think he is the traitor in the way that they thought that he might be. See, Wolverine already knows what's up with Omega Red. He knows he's in league with Dracula. This is something Wolverine doesn't need Jean Grey to tell anybody. But what they're gonna do is they're gonna probe him just the same way that they did Colossus, only there's one problem. Omega Red, he's lying his ass off. He's definitely working for somebody else. And while Jean and her telepathy, she can't figure out if it's actually for the Vampire Nation, which once again, we already know it's for the Vampire Nation, she can tell that he has been mesmerized by Dracula, that he is under somebody's thrall. He's lying. She can see it. It's just there's something in the way of it. There are barriers in between her and that lie, and she can't break them. And I think that's actually a pretty impressive thing to be able to say, considering Jean is an Omega level telepath. And what Beast is offering is that they just let Omega Red go. Hell, they let Colossus go, let him go too. But they're still gonna keep an eye on him because it's that whole thing that keep your friends close, your enemies closer. What he wants to do is he wants to take the carbonadium synthesizer that is within his body. He wants to remove it from Omega Red because they did a little bit of looking into it, Beast did at least, and he discovered that it's essentially a detonator, that it is a bomb that has been unleashed on Krakoa that could go off at any moment. Now, of course, it's carbonadium synthesizers that Omega Red was given for his services rendered in helping Dracula infiltrate Krakoa, but it seems Dracula added a little cherry on top along with that cake. And right at this point, Jean is once again reminded why she removed herself from service in X-Force, because she doesn't like the way Beast operates. Because what Beast is thinking about doing is taking that carbonadium synthesizer and reworking that bad boy with a tracking device, as well as maybe some other odds and ends and bells and whistles. Something that he's going to enlist Forge to help him with. And what Beast wants to do is turn Omega Red into a sleeper agent, or more of a sleepwalking agent. Now, Wolverine is not the least bit pleased with any of this, because as far as he's concerned, Omega Red belongs in the hole alongside Sabretooth. Sebastian Shaw should be as well, but Omega Red most definitely. And Wolverine's not wrong to feel that way, but something that Beast actually posits is the fact that he needs the carbonadium synthesizer. It's something that he absolutely positively needs to survive. Technically, the Five, if they could possibly resurrect him and remove his need for it. This is something that I think has come up on a lot of, Blerd caves and, a lot of other videos in the comments. A lot of you have asked that question of me. What if, or rather, why don't, when they resurrect these characters, why don't they remove some of the problems that they tend to have? Like, why has Cyclops' need to have a visor, a ruby quartz visor over his eyes to control his optic blast? Why is that part of him not removed? Yet, at the same time, Xavier is resurrected with full usage of his legs. Other characters as well have been brought back with modifications. Domino being one of them. She was brought back without memory of how she was tortured by Zeno. And that's something that's being brought up here, is the ethics behind all of it and why the Five are not crazy about it. Because for one, they don't want to resurrect Omega Red, because now that Beast has extracted the carbonadium synthesizer from Omega Red's body, which, by the way, Omega Red very much dead by this particular point in time, they don't think he should be brought back. And more importantly, what they're also worried about is that Beast is thinking about the proposition of removing the memories of his being resurrected, and even some of the other aspects of his life that maybe have caused him to become a terrible person, wondering whether or not that would change who he is. And it goes back to something that I think gets brought up a lot, is taking away someone's memories. Is that an okay way to rehabilitate somebody? Is removing the thing that makes them who they are, and you're doing this forcibly, mind you, is this ethical? And something that I found very interesting is that in all of this, in all of Beast's decisions in regards to how he's dealing with Omega Red, killing him, removing the carbonadium synthesizer, putting another one back in its place, albeit with audio surveillance and a tracking beacon, all of this, and then resurrecting Omega Red with no memory of how he died or that he even died at all, keeping him in the dark, using him as a double sleeper agent. Xavier has signed off on all this, because even though the Quiet Council, it becomes obvious to us that they disagreed with this, Xavier says that X-Force has the final say. Xavier says they have absolute autonomy to pretty much do whatever the hell they want. And that's a very dangerous thing, because Beast has been incredibly out of line lately. And that's not even the least of Krakoa's problems right now, because one of the things that gets brought up earlier in this book is that Krakoa is always changing. It's always moving. We know that Krakoa doesn't stay in one place, and it's always evolving. And one of the instances we see where Krakoa begins shifting while Colossus and some of the other mutants are outside on the cliff's edge of Krakoa, and one of the mutants falls. But getting a different view of Colossus saving that mutant, we see that there is some weird black mold-like spear that was in the rubble from where Krakoa was shifting. Something that ultimately ends up falling off of the island and into the ocean itself. The other mutants don't even notice that it's happened. And this black mass falls all the way down to the ocean floor, and then eventually a passing whale comes along, and it ends up reaching its tendrils from the deep, snatching a freaking whale down below. And ultimately, we don't really even know exactly what this was even supposed to accomplish. But later on, as the ship is going by where that whale was, we find out that whale has attacked that ship with this weird mass of tentacles and vines or whatever it is protruding from its mouth, taking down this ship as a whole and ultimately destroying it. And we later see the dividends of this paid off when Black Tom Cassie and Domino are hanging out on the shores of Krakoa. A bunch of bodies wash up on the shore, and these bodies are infected with whatever infected that whale. And whatever it is, these creatures, whatever they are, these tentacles, these vines, whatever they may be, see they're coming out of the bodies of these washed up sailors. By the time that you get to the end of this, it's really interesting to me that it's taken them, of course, this long to kind of get around to all the, Omega Red stuff to get back to it, because it kind of seems like this just picked up from where we left off prior to Ten of Swords, almost as if nothing, as if none of the other stuff had ever happened. But I'm glad we're getting back to the story, because it was one of the things I was really interested in, the fact that Wolverine and Omega Red have been having this back and forward. Wolverine knows precisely what's going on with Omega Red, that he is working for Dracula, and Beast is just doing some really weird stuff in regards to counterintelligence and spy versus spy type bullshit. And it's really cool to see, because I didn't really expect it to go quite this direction, but I'm really curious to see how this all plays out in the end, because Beast is playing a very dangerous game. More importantly, I'm looking forward to Colossus finally becoming an official member of X-Force, because he's always kind of been assigned that role since Dawn of X kicked off or whatever, but he's not really been an actual part of the team. But it looks like maybe now we might finally be getting closer to getting him on board, considering that we've already lost Marvel Girl because of Beast shenanigans. And I'm not sure what's going on with this whole, I don't even know what to call these weird Resident Evil 7 black mold monster thing, whatever the heck it is. I don't know. I do want to know more about what's going on there too. It's not necessarily the most important thing I think in all this, but I really do think it is. I think it's an interesting thing that we're gonna have to take a look at and hopefully figure out what it is sooner rather than later. Part of me wonders if this has anything to do with Terra Verde, maybe a reaction to the shenanigans that happened when Beast killed the president of Terra Verde's son and turned him into this weird plant monster creature thing. I don't know if it has anything to do with that or if it, going back to that, but I want to see them catch back up with what's going on with Mikhail and Kid Omega. We still haven't seen the fallout from that, so hopefully we'll be seeing that stuff very soon. But anyways, let me know what you guys thought about X-Force number 15. Do you think Beast's plan with Omega Red can actually work? Do you think Omega Red could even be reformed regarding the guidelines and the questions that Beast has asked himself about whether or not the Five can remove his need for the carbonadium synthesizer? Do you think that's something that may come up later? Do you think Omega Red could benefit from something like that? And overall, do you think Beast has gone too far? Wash your damn hands and sound off in the comments.